Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. I'm here. Well, I'm Juliette Hahn, and I'm here with Brent Sokol.
I don't know if you're here or not.
Oh, man.
After the stories that I heard this Easter weekend, I don't know if you are here.
We do have an interesting topic today, though. Do you want me to preface?
Just one topic? Two topic? Three topic?
We could talk about 1,000 fucking things. A million different topics.
How was your Easter? So this is we're taping on our usual Monday after
We're Easter Monday.
Peter Cottontail hopping down the bunny trail. Hippity hoppity, Easter's on its way.
Okay, so I feel like that's like deja vu. I feel like you did that last year. I gotta now go back for
Easter's the best. It's got the best candy ever.
Yeah, we did this exactly. I totally remember.
Big fan of foo-foo candy. Yo.
Do you like Peeps?
No.
No?
No.
You don't like the marshmallows?
No, I'm the chocolate.
Cadbury eggs?
Cadbury egg. Oh, I love the Cadbury eggs or the mini eggs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big fan of those. You know the little milk cartons that they come in little bubble gum? Oh, I love those. I've crushed a few of those. By far my favorite candy. So I call it Peter Cottontail or Foo-Foo. I used to call the kids. Foo-Foo's coming.
Right. So I definitely used to love Easter candy until it doesn't do me good anymore.
You're eating some tree-hugging bullshit. Unreals.
Wait, but here's
wrongs.
Okay, so here we will, and Elizabeth's comment was really funny. So I'm gonna actually preference because Montgomery did not come home. Whole misunderstanding shit show over there, which is kind of funny. But so all of us,
child didn't come home. I think Elizabeth said so.
She did say that. But so, which made me laugh because Dan and the kids were away for spring break, like the week before coming up, right? So like last week. So I was home doing work, wasn't even thinking. I was like, oh fuck, Easter's now. We usually do like some sort of Easter egg hunt. I usually put like money or like. Remember last year I did the whole counting thing. There was a certain amount, and also they get out of chores. Like remember all that?
The numbers didn't add up.
Right. Well, I wasn't even trying to do that. So all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I didn't do anything for their Easter baskets. Montgomery's not going to be home. That's going to be so weird. It's only going to be 2 Easter baskets. So I was doing this whole thing in my head. So then I went on Amazon. I was like, shit, I can't not. That's like terrible. Poor Penelope. She's only 15. That would be like not fair that her Easter's done now because Montgomery's out. So I ordered.
It really is though.
Stop it. So I ordered like $400 worth of candy. Okay. Because I can't do anything like half not.
And you think I'm bad? $400. I went to Target and I think I did really good. I think I spent $20.
Right.
400?
No, because I ordered like the organic because I was like they're trying not to do sugar. But here's the thing: after I hit it, it was like it doesn't come until Tuesday, and I was like, motherfucker, I didn't look. Was going. So then I had to.
You live in Timbuktu with no fucking mail address.
I know, it's so annoying.
Send you a package. I don't know if it's coming or it's going to end up in Alaska or where the hell.
I know, it really is. When I moved here, my friends were like, "What are you going? Like the witness protection program?" I was like, "Right, you would think that." So anyway, so then I had to reorder, and then I went to cancel the order, and it wouldn't let me cancel because it already did something, and I was like, "What?" So. Today and tomorrow, we're going to get even more candy of this Unreal stuff, which I actually like, but I don't want it because I ate it this weekend and became I was going to use the R word. I'm not going to do that.
You're not retarded.
That's
it's
so unhinged. Yeah, I became so unhinged. I had like the worst like sugar hangover, even though I didn't even eat like real. I did. It's like 4 grams versus 20 grams. It's very good.
I had the peanut butter cup. Elizabeth gave me the peanut butter cup, and here's the bag.
Yeah, but okay, wait. But did you eat it? Okay, this is where I need you to pause your body. Did you eat it in between real candy, or did you like wait till your body was like a little like out of the real candy? You were a little detox from the real candy, which I know the fucking answer. So don't look at me that way. I'm asking
why are you asking the question?
I'm asking you in a smart ass way.
I would rather eat a raccoon's ass.
No, I like Unreals. Sorry, Unreal. He's not your spokesperson.
And this is lying because it is not unreal. This is false advertising. Just like I should have sued Red Bull for getting wings because I haven't gotten wings yet. Elizabeth's like, oh, these are good. I'm like,
They are good. It's because you were eating them like with real candy. They're actually better for you because they don't. I'm not going to go into the whole philosophy of your body and why we shouldn't be eating regular real sugar, because that's what I did all weekend. So then I also ate all the other healthy candy sugar stuff I have in the house, but I overdid it because I can't ever just have one or two. That's why I had to stop drinking.
Splenda or real sugar?
Splenda's terrible. That's a cancer causer. Oh no, Splenda's not. No, stevia. Stevia is the good one. No, Splenda's the bad one.
Right. So do you want the fake sugar or the real sugar?
No, I want the real stevia sugar. I'm not taking Splenda. Splenda's awful. No, I want like, you can do the cane sugar, but only do like 4 grams instead of 35.
Yeah, that's when I was doing cocaine. Let's only do 1 line instead of 100. No, 100 is way better than 1. Okay, I'll take 700 Adderall rather than 1. Why would I want 1?
Well, this is why I don't do things, because I can't just have 1.
I'm going to go have a beer. 100 beers? So, okay, perfect. I'm in. 1? I'm not going.
Exactly. So you just proved the point, as I was saying. So even the Unreals, which are not fake, but I mean, are not, because they still are real. If you read the ingredients, they are, because it's whatever. I can't do this. Now I'm going to have a temper tantrum. Oh my God. Anyways, so that is what, that's what we started talking about. And that's how we got sidetracked. But that's not the topic we're going to talk about. But yes, you love Easter candy. I'm actually going to go back to last year's The Right Before, because I think you did I think we did the exact same thing, which will just make me laugh. Because most people that are listening after Easter, most people after Halloween, after Easter, after every holiday, people have that like crappy hangover, whether it's from alcohol, drugs, or shit food, because they're going to their families, so they're drugging themselves up, right? There's so much stuff around holidays, which we kind of just unpacked, which is pretty funny.
You unpacked.
Which we're not going to talk about.
The golden child didn't come home, so everything was done. There's no Easter. You had a temper tantrum, and you took your bat and ball and you left.
I did. Oh my God! And Penelope was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "I'm sorry. I don't know how to do."
It's just like, the first kid's got 7, the best birthday parties, the biggest birthday parties, all the pictures come, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th kid. There's nothing, like 0.
Right. Except Penelope had the best birthday parties, because I used to pay the boys instead of having birthday. I was like, I'll give you money instead of having a party. And they were like, yes. She didn't want it. She was like, no, I want the party and the money. So I think she got both. Yeah.
She started playing you at a young age.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Very, very, yeah. Very early. We all have our talents, and we all fall short at some spots. That worked really well. Okay. Do we want to talk about coaching and dyslexia?
Birthday parties?
No, I fucking hate birthday parties. It's like a fucking nightmare.
Oh, Grandma's got her birthday in a couple days.
I know. So my sister Megan had hers the 18th. Then Elizabeth has hers, the 24th? And then my dad's the 26th.
So are you going there on his birthday?
Yep.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we are. Yeah. We were celebrating his 80th.
80th?
And we
won't dive into this one, because that's a whole new.
And I could already feel it building up. I'm like, why am I anxious? Oh, fuck. I know why.
Well, that was, I'd love to be the fly on the wall on this one.
Oh, I could already feel it in my shoulder. I wrote what I'm writing. I mean, I wrote what I'm reading, and I'm also standing up and reading it. By the way, we're doing live readings.
Oh my God. I can't wait for this, but yes, let's go.
And you're going to
how long ago was it? About a month ago, you and I had this heated debate, if you want to call that, over coaching.
Yeah, but I kind of love that you said heated debate. It was like so slightly, we didn't agree. We didn't agree.
You were so stubborn. You couldn't put yourself. You kept see the golden child didn't come back home for the first year, and you kept placing yourself in the golden child era that you couldn't put yourself into. We're trying to have this conversation with 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, and you already yourself in first year of college. No,
okay. So I will say there also was. I don't think you were allowing yourself to hear my side. And you were like, no, because not everyone gets it. You guys are that small percentage, your innate confidence and
Yeah.
You went there instead of actually thinking and stopping and being like, okay, I understand. And then we both got on the same page. And we're like, okay, I see your point. And yes, I see your point. So I think it was a month ago. You are correct.
And I love that you're frozen right now. You should see this picture of you.
Oh, am I frozen? Am I still frozen?
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me? Take a picture. Do I look crazy?
It just came off now.
Was I making a crazy face?
So I had a scenario happen. At a fall, I talked to a couple. Now, and the coach, this kid, like, hockey's crazy. Now they're starting to have tryouts already right now for next fall, and youth sports isn't a sport anymore. It should be called a youth business.
Yeah.
That's
100%. Yeah.
You've got, and this scenario here happened here, in Illinois. Kid plays hockey, in Mission. Is a AAA hockey team. And it's supposed to be one of the best programs, in the U.S. And they're the highest priced, right? They're actually a very shit program because they recruit all the best talent, but they don't develop.
Mm.
So they'll bring in the best, 10-year-olds, for that age group, or best 11-year-olds, best 12-year-olds, but you never see kids get better. And this family that I'm friends with, the dad is actually a Hall of Fame coach. I'm not going to say in what sport. He's one of the most world-renowned coaches in his industry. And his kid is dyslexic. And the coach, for knowing his kid like 4 days over a tournament, was saying he's lazy, he's uncoachable. When I talk to him, he's staring into space. He's doesn't work hard. He's lazy. And the coach's name is Varga. Varga's a piece of shit. You've known the kid 4 days. Now, if you don't understand where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be doing, do you work hard as fast as you can? I got to run to that corner. I don't know if I'm supposed to be there, but I'm going to be the first to be there. Oh, that's not how it works. We're going to kind of sit back. We're kind of view what's around. Oh, a lot of the kids going that way. Okay, I'm going to go that way. Or I think I use this reference all the time. Sam drove 10 miles. I don't know where the hell. Show me where Sam is. Don't tell me where Sam is. And as a coach, it's our job to coach the kids. So if you take that responsibility as being a coach, no matter if it's, soccer and basketball aren't real sports anyways, if it's lacrosse or if it's baseball or if it's football, that's not a real sport either. If you take the position to be a coach, No matter if you're a dad coach or if this is your job, it's your job to teach each kid. You have to understand what motivates each kid. And that's where people talk about great coaches. You talk about, I think basketball, obviously Chicago, Pat Riley, I think it was. Or like, the best coach isn't the best X and O's. That's basically what the assistant coaches do. Is teach the X and O's the way you want. You have to figure out how to motivate each person. How do you get the most out of each kid? Each player. You're talking about, the best coaches, Hall of Fame coaches in all the sports. They knew what each person did. And this guy, Varga, after knowing the kid 4 days, saying he's uncoachable, he just about ruined the kid. And I talked to the dad this weekend. He went and tried out some. He's like, I've never seen him look so bad on the ice. Because he was broken. You basically yelled at him. You told him how worthless we are. And, I had another, scenario a couple of years ago with a family in Florida. And I always say it for us, and hard love for us is hard death. We'll shut down. We'll show up again, but we won't be present.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you said, and it took me back, because this kid, as you said, he's dyslexic. So sports were where he was getting
ADHD. Sorry, I didn't throw
and
that.
What?
ADHD too.
Right.
That's going to play into this.
Yep. And so that's where he was getting his confidence, right? This is where you're good. This is where you're good. And you have someone that has no understanding of, first of all, whatever his name is, doesn't sound like he's human, decency, period. He doesn't know how humans work, nor does he know how children work. Whether that's where he came from, but 101 in being a coach to me is you got to get that connection with each of your players, and you have to figure it out. And each of your players, it's going to be different, right? Each of the players, it's going to be different. And it is taking him and breaking him down in 4 days, and then seeing that has to be so hard for the dad. And I just want to take it back for this, which is really interesting, because you and I have talked about many different times about sports and coaches, and how we were always the one, we never wanted to go first. In my high school, so I think I've shared this on here, our high school, we won states every year in field hockey and lacrosse. We were a powerhouse throughout the state. It was we had these two coaches, one for field hockey, one for lacrosse, and they were known. They won all these awards, and they had different styles. And the field hockey coach loved my younger sister, who was 2 years younger than me. And I was more like the bull. You told me what to do and I would go. She was more finesse and all these things. She was brought up for varsity as a sophomore. And I, for whatever reason, was struggling with this coach at this time. And it was because she would always have me go first. And she would scream in my face and basically be you're not paying attention. What is wrong with you? Focus, blah, 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 blah. But anytime she would pull me out and scream in my face, I would score. So she knew that it did something to me. But my mom was I'm not having this anymore. So my mom basically said to her, if you do not learn how to coach Juliet, you will not have Megan. Taking my younger daughter, and this is it. I'm done. I'm not watching, whatever. So what came about, and the reason why I'm telling the story is what came about is she did not understand that I wasn't fucking around, right? If I had to go first, as you said, I could not, I needed to see it done. She would speak and be Juliet, you're going first. Because every time I would go first, she'd be don't do it like she does. She messes up every time because she's not focused. She's fooling around and blah, these other things. And that year, I had a really tough year in sports, because that was where I was getting my confidence, right? But I would get screamed at.
But you said you always would score, right?
After in the games, when she would pull me out and scream in my face, then I would score. and I know where you're going with this because this is interesting. So she was like, okay, she thought that that's what was getting to me. Like, okay, I know how to work with her. I just have to scream and yell at her. That's going to make her work. Right. And so now if you think about it, because I mean, every player, they would be like, God, and I'm not going to say her name, be like, she fucking hates you. And I'd be like, oh, I know. It was exhausting. However, there was something, and I think it's when you say the things about the wire crossed, right? Now, I was a certain age, so it wasn't like I wasn't young where I was still developing. I mean, yes, you're still developing your self-confidence, but like 11, 12, to have a coach already start being like, no, this is how I see you, and this is not okay. You're pulling something, you're taking something out of a kid and turning them upside down, right? And if they're struggling with learning disabilities, think about how, as you just said, that next tryout, the dad was like, he was a shell of himself. So if the dad didn't notice that, and the dad didn't pull him and get him in touch with you, think about where this kid would be if no one noticed, right? No one noticed that he was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because of one interaction with a coach that made him feel useless. And this is why these positions, teachers and coaches, are so fucking important, because you actually can change someone's life. Like, so, you know, for the worse and for the better. So like, I know you want to say something here. So
no, I'm interested to go back, you know, for me, when I played my best is when I literally got in a fuck you match on the bench with the coach.
Yeah, right. I remember you saying that. Yep.
Because my problem, you know, is I needed to play hockey, not think hockey.
Right.
When my wires crossed, I didn't think hockey. I played hockey.
Right. And I remember you saying that. Mm-hmm.
So how does that? I'm trying to, how, you know. You would go and play well, or you would go and score when your wires were crossed.
I mean, you know what? I actually never even thought about the conversation that we've had with you, but for this one particular coach, yep. Anytime she and she would scream, where like spit would be in my face.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, oh,
I used to get like literally the coach and I would get in a fuck you match and fuck you. Like, oh yeah. When he came, you know, he same thing. He did thing, you know, but that's when that's the way he was. And again, that was old school, you know, obviously we talk about things are different nowadays. Yeah. We grew up differently, but that's when I would excel.
Right.
You know, my wires would cross and I was so angry that it was almost like this tunnel vision. I just didn't see anything. I just played. So I played hockey, not fought hockey. And that's why, for me, you know, we talk about, the more tired I was going to the game, like there's games where I was like falling asleep driving to the rink. I was so exhausted.
Right.
That's when I played my best, right? Because I didn't think hockey. I just played hockey. So I was trying to understand the correlation.
I mean, maybe it was the same with me. Maybe it was. Maybe that's what, because I did. And this was like during one of the worst times was during a state championship, and my sister and she would assist to me or I would assist to her, and we won. And our last name was Williams, so it was like during the time of like the Williams sisters too, and so it was like the Williams sisters in South Jersey. It was like
were you the white Williams sisters?
We were the white Williams sisters.
Oh, so what is that? W squared?
Oh, it is. Look at you. Yeah, look at you. But that was a really like, it was like I was so screamed at all the time that even like people would be like parents were like, this is like crazy. Like, how is this? And my mom, it was bothered. So, but maybe that's exactly what it was for me at that time. College coach, it didn't work. She was like, she tried, but no.
No, I'm just, you know, even though, you know, during the heat of the battle, you know, him and I, you know, we get in the fuck you matches, right? Screaming, right? You know, this coach was here. You know, it worked. That time, you know, there has to be that yin yang, whatever, you know, where we lost, him and I lost each other, is that dude in practice, he'd do it off the ice. there was places and times where that would work and then it wouldn't.
Right.
During the game, I was good. That's what I needed. For me, it was not, hey, go, you can do it. I need to be motherfucked.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be motherfucked in other places.
Right.
So it's understanding your players, understanding what works, and she probably did it to you in all places. It sounds like you and I are probably a lot like when it comes to that.
Yeah. I didn't, and I never even thought about that when you said that, but I remember my mom just recently talking about it. She's like, I was like, you're going to figure out how to work with her, or I'm taking my little sister. Yeah.
And this goes back to your innate confidence, right? Your mom was there protecting you, right? Again, mine was a different era. But it was a little bit older. So obviously my mommy and daddy couldn't be there with my little blankie and my soother, but it's, you had that, right? You had that support, right? That just proves my whole point of your innate confidence. Now we can go down another rabbit hole, right?
Yes, because so this is, listen, but it's very true. Yes, my mom had my back. And this is where I want to go back to like what we were just talking about when it comes to coaches knowing your players, because this is the conversation, as you said, we got into a disagreement, even though it was like such a little disagreement. But
I wasn't nothing street. I'm not,
no, but it's funny the way you prefaced it. But what did I say to you? As what I think, like as a foundation, this is where we need to, and you were like, well, wait, but we need to, you just jumped to 10. And I was like, no, I didn't. We need to educate, because what Montgomery did for himself and what we did from him at a young age, we would talk to the coaches first. We would usually, and it wasn't when he was young, because it was really until he was able to advocate himself. So I would say like middle school.
When did you start doing that? You said it wasn't when he was young. When did he start? Because obviously he doesn't play a real sport. He plays soccer. So when did that avocation start? When did you start talking to coaches?
Yeah, because I'm thinking it was when we were in Darien. So probably when he was like, it was when. So this is interesting, and I don't think I've ever talked about this, but this is when school started getting really hard. He was in Southport, and his level of soccer went to the next level, and he wasn't the star anymore. And he had to figure out how to, and he's good. He's not like a poor sport and everything, but it was like all of a sudden I remember him coming home and be like, okay, now I'm not even good at soccer. Like, what the fuck? And I remember being like, oh, fuck. No. Like, that is not happening, because I will make sure that does not happen. And my mom, that's what she did for me, because she was like, you will not take the one thing that she's confident about to this one coach. And because my mom and I just recently talked about this, it was like, no, you're not going to take the one thing that she's confident about. No, go fuck yourself. So that was when I remember seeing like very clearly, okay, we need to help him be able to talk to this coach, because now that are different.
Or was that a little bit younger?
No, that's middle school. So that was like, right. So he went to Southport. So he went, well, it was a little younger than middle school. So some middle schools are 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, that's true. You American things.
Yeah. So we were like, it was like 5th, 6th grade, because it was right before we moved to Connecticut. I mean, right before we moved out east full time.
Our middle schools, 6, some is 5th still considered? Because I've never heard of I went to K to 8, so I literally, I never heard of middle school in my life. Going to middle school until my kids were getting on.
What's middle school? Yeah.
So some middle school is 6, 7, 8.
And some are just 7, 8, like out here. Some are just 7, 8.
Usually considered still elementary, right?
Well, so like where I grew up, it was 5th, 6th, 7th, and then they made it an upper elementary. So younger elementary was kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Upper elementary was 4th, 5th, 6th, and then middle school 7th and
right.
Yeah. But yes, so in that, but like 10, 11 around there. So like if you take the age, and that's when it was like, okay, we need to start helping you because now the level of soccer got to another level. Remember I said to you, I was like, I had someone, and I think it was one of my sisters, was like, oh yeah, soccer I heard was one of the most difficult for someone with dyslexic. And I was like, what? I was like, well, why would you tell me that? Because her son had a hard time with it. And he even still talks about, like, he's like, I couldn't get certain plays down because of my dyslexia, but he wouldn't ask. Remember when we talked to Bradley in Montgomery?
Yeah.
This is it. Bradley was like, I didn't want to be the kid that had to ask those questions.
Right.
I didn't. And so he wasn't as confident. Montgomery was like, I'm not losing this, right? This is where I feel good. I need to.
But, go back to 100% again, and you were able to instill that,
Somehow. Right. Like, this is a good feel. You need to talk. So 100. Yes.
Recognize, because like Bradley and myself, still to this day, if I go to a cash register, if I'll go to a tip, or I go to pay for like a restaurant or something, if I think that they've messed up. Now, if it's a couple dollars, $10, let's say, I won't ask. I won't say, hey, I think you messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
No, I
still won't. I won't do it.
Yeah.
So if I probably lost a lot of money by, somebody making a mistake, probably, but I will not question that. I guess question is the right way to say it. I won't ask, hey, I think you made a mistake. Elizabeth, she'll calculate all that. Not me. If I think that, say it's 3 for $5 or whatever, and I got 2 for,
yeah,
I won't, because I'm afraid that they're going to say, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Yeah. And again, it sounds worse than it is, but I won't question. No, I've never had that avocation, right? So I'm still.
Yeah, but Brent, in those situations, I don't either. Oh my God. And anytime the check comes, I get so sweaty and my mouth gets watery every single time I have to calculate anything that comes with money or tips. I like
even at a store, like a convenience store, 4 gummies for $1 or whatever it is, whatever that mistake is, or I won't. Now, if we're talking thousands or talking big numbers, right?
Yeah, different, right?
I still don't have the confidence to ask a question, maybe because I'm afraid to make a mistake. Yep. That I made that mistake. Oh, no. Sorry, sir. No. This is not, I'm not, most people are like, okay, oh shit, no problem. My fault. No,
mm-hmm.
I won't.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that too.
So I never had, the sports, you taught him to be okay to advocate for himself.
Yes.
And we always know it feels good. Maybe sometimes it doesn't know what we're doing to get that feeling, is that confident? That's the self-esteem, in certain ways, but, I couldn't go to coach, so you install that into him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have to say, there is every time I would say like, okay, how did it go? And he'd be like, oh, they know their brother's dyslexic, or they struggled, or this and that. It's always been a really good thing. And I think if it went the other way, like if it was a coach that didn't understand, it could have went completely sideways. Right. So like, I'm not saying every single time, like, but he did have 2 coaches in a very, very important time, because then he fractured his pelvises. And remember, he had to then go back and win his spot like 15 different times. He had to really.
Well, I don't know if I showed, so in 2000 here, in Chicago, 2009, I think it was, so our coach got fired 4 games in. And a guy named Joel Quinville came in. He'd been in the league for years. He won a Stanley Cup. I coached against him. I think I was the only guy on the team he knew. He came in, and there's another guy, Mark Bergevin, who I played against. They ended up hating me. At the end of December, so he came in October. they said, the GM called me and said, hey, either you have season-ending, I had elbow problems, either have season-ending surgery or we're going to send you to the minors. So obviously I took the surgery, had it like beginning of January. That's when they
I was going to say, is that the pin?
Yeah, they cut the tendons off my elbow, and that's the one I stayed awake for. And reattached with screws, and I was in a cast for 12 weeks, I think it was. And so I missed that whole year. So I had to come back in 2010. They didn't want me on the team.
Oh, it's fucking terrible.
They wanted me to go down to the minors, which is the Rockford. I had to remake the team.
Right.
So you talk about, Montgomery. I had to come the year we won the Stanley Cup. I had to come back in at age, what was I, 33, 30, well, older than that,
Yeah.
35 maybe. And we had to make the team again. They wanted me. They wanted nothing to do with me. Joe Quenneville, I know everybody talks about a great coach. Fucking, he was a dick. Couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
We won a Stanley Cup with him, and I had to rename, literally remake the team.
And that's but that's where people don't understand, like in professional sports, like, like it's your livelihood, and like those kind of situations. That's like, so like, and everyone thinks, oh, you have it all. Like, imagine, just think about the fucking stress that is at all times, especially because you were like, I don't want to go into the real world, right? I don't know what the real world is. I haven't been in the real world since I was 16. I mean, like,
I was never in the real world.
Right. Right. That's true.
I went from, playing hockey. I went from, obviously junior. I left home at 16, juniors, getting drafted, finishing that, going pro. I never entered the real world.
Right.
So I finally entered it at, I don't know, was I 39, almost 40 years old when I entered it. So I never was in that real world, and fuck, it's a scary, it's a scary place.
Especially doing it at 40. I mean, that's
especially doing it at 40, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference for me. It was, these are things that we usually, dyslexics, ADHD, all this plus with, the 5Ds, we learn these bumps in the roads when we're 21, 22, 23, when we're resilient, when we're young, everything going, we're just starting our life, right? It's easy for us to get knocked down, get back up, right? But it's not so easy now. Like trying to get out of bed at fucking 48 now, it ain't easy,
Right.
When I was 18, I could pop up, drink all night long, sleep for an hour, and go, I don't have my best game, blah, blah, blah. Now, they can't,
No, we cannot.
So it's entering the real world, at 40, with no support, no support behind me, with work, with my 5Ds, with with what I just did. It was all ripped out from under me. And you do the same thing as a coach. You rip the rug underneath from a kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, when you approach them. If you're not doing your job, and I always say there's a difference between a coach and a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to teach these kids? That's what you're supposed to be doing. Teaching these kids how to get better. And most of these coaches in hockey and, here in Illinois, coaches are awful. Most of these programs, they don't teach. They just try and win. Mm-hmm. Varga, this guy in Michigan, in Mission, he's a piece of shit. You want to win, you want to live vicariously. I got a trophy. Great.
It's a lot of, there's so much responsibility with being a coach that is not really talked about. And I think, as you just said, it's like vicariously living through things. I mean, listen, we all do it. we're not saying that it's wrong or right. I mean, my kid giving up lacrosse, I was like, I wanted back those feelings that I had in high school, which I was like, oh, I didn't think I was doing that. I thought I was pretty good. Okay. Maybe I was like, I wanted her to experience that good feels that I had. Right. So you get coaches that either want that or they want to try to kind of make what they didn't have, what they kind of lost. And they don't think about the actual kids that they're getting involved with. They don't think about, sometimes there's a lot, all kids, everyone has their traumas, their baggage and these things. And if you're not willing to be like, sit in the trenches with each of those kids to get to understand them, to be able to earn the respect. I mean, that's what, to me, makes a winning team. You don't have to have all the best talent, but you get kids that all respect and like each other and understand each other and then have that same respect with the coach. You're going to go way farther than just having, kids that are like, yeah, I'm here for X, Y, and Z. Can you, Brent, I think it would be really important for you to kind of talk about a little bit of, because you've done work with, and I don't know if I can talk about it. So I'm kind of talking, I'm not making any fucking sense.
No.
It's not because I have a candy hangover. It's because I don't know if I can speak about this yet. But you've done some documentation where you've helped bigger organizations with, okay, thanks. I was like, just jump on what I'm saying. I don't know how to say it any other way. In helping with, because not everyone, we've uncovered this, if you guys have been listening, not everyone knows they're dyslexic. Not everyone knows how to work with the dyslexic, ADHD, any of the 5Ds, right? So you helped put a documentation together of kind of like, as a coach and as a parent and as a player, these are the things that really should be kind of top of mind. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I got to follow up and then, see where we're at. That was going through the legal system, their legal entity. If can this all be said and how, all that stuff is, it's the same thing as teachers, they don't all understand. Very few understand dyslexia, right? Very few understand ADHD. Very few understand dysgraphia. Very few understand the 5Ds. And same thing with coaches.
Right.
I had one coach. This was a couple of years ago. I had a family reach out to me. The kid was ADHD, and the kid was, when they're at the board telling him what to do, the kid would kind of spin. Now, leading up to that, kid's always easy distracted. So he was making the kid dress in a separate room by himself. The parents said they wanted the coach wanted to kick the kid off the team. And I said to the coach, I'm like, he's listening in his way. I said, first off, is he fucking bothering anybody? No. Now, if he was just shooting a puck against the wall or a ball or basketball bouncing while he's talking, no, he can't do that, right? Now you're interrupting everybody.
Yep.
But he wasn't doing that. He was kind of spinning. What we do, we listen in our own way. Mm-hmm. If you want us to sit there like this, we got to focus. Same thing in the classroom. So still that we have no idea what you're saying. You're talking a different language. So he wanted to kick this kid off the team. I had a family in Florida, baseball. Kid had an old school coach. Dad was sitting right behind the backstop, screaming at the kid. And then I kind of snapped. And Dad, I'm like, if I hear you fucking do this, I'll find you and I'll kick the fuck out of you. Yeah, I got mad. I go. He's like, he shows up every time he shows up in a shell. I said, you got fuck off. Stop yelling at the kid. Mm-hmm. So the dad ended up sitting in the outfield away from it. And I got a call from through a guy I knew. He's like, I don't know what you did, but the dad's out in the outfield and this kid is fucking hitting home runs and flying around like I've never seen him play so good. So it wasn't the dad's fault at all. She thought that's what worked. Now the coach wants to kick the kid off the team. You would have killed it. You would have broken the kid. But I'll say this: he didn't understand it.
Right.
Now, the parents don't think knew how to advocate for the kid because they were still trying to figure it out. Because they won't, like yourself. This is where the ornate confidence I always talk about is you had that support. You just talked about your mom had your support, right?
Right.
You knew you had somebody there.
Yeah.
And that's what built you.
Mm-hmm.
So Montgomery was able to advocate. You advocated for him. He built him. Myself, these kids didn't have that because the parents don't know. They're still learning. They're still trying to understand. If you're newly diagnosed,
right?
It's your head like, what do we do? Where do we go? Right.
Right. And the other thing is, I think it's so important that you just brought it up because there's also like, we are not parents that like helicopter or go and are like, we need to touch base with the coach. Like we let our kids, like we don't want to be that. We have enough fucking things that go on in our own lives that we don't want to be micromanaging. So that's the other reason. It's like, let's give the kids. But one of the things that you said, I think is really important. And this is what Montgomery found is that what he would say to the coach was, when you're telling me to do something, if you're yelling at me from the sidelines or doing something in practice and I seem like I'm not listening, I am listening. I'm just processing and it might take me a second, but it might seem like I'm not listening to you. Mm-hmm. And that's what used to happen to me all the time, right? That's happened to all attention deficit dyslexic kids because we have a different processing system. So the fact that Montgomery was able to say that to the coaches, and then the coach knew, okay, in the next play, he would pull Montgomery because he was striker. He'd pull him and be like, this is what I want you to do. And he would show him. So he had this one coach that really got it. He was a teacher. And so, but he also played soccer. And so he had just a whole different kind of understanding, but that really helped Montgomery be like, now I'm going to start advocating for myself in different ways, right? Sure. That could have went like, so I want to be clear.
Didn't have that teacher or that coach.
Right. No, so this is the thing. So that's why, like, I'm saying, like, some parent might say, well, we did that and our kid got ridiculed, right? And it went the complete opposite way. And now we tell no one. Yeah, that's going to happen too. And that sucks. And I'm so sorry. That's where it's so, there's such a fine line. And that's why we do what we're doing, because if we can talk more about it and people can hear more about it, maybe someone will get knowledge and then be like, oh, okay. So the more, power through knowledge. Now, knowledge is power, right? We always say that. I just switched that. But as you said, like a kid could advocate, Montgomery could have advocated, and this could be a whole different conversation if it did not go that way.
But, you're right. But you gave him the knowledge, the power, and the words.
Yeah.
To say it.
100%. Because in the beginning, we would do it with him.
Right.
We would have him stand around where some parents, like I have a very good friend, she's like, her kid's dyslexic and she doesn't use the word because she's like, why does it need a label? Blah, blah, blah. And I keep telling her it might actually make him feel better because he'll be like, oh, I get it. So they always keep it secret. He's not dumb. He can hear you guys whispering, right? He can hear the things.
And that's my point. That's where, and your mom did that for you. And that's why you have your so-called ornate confidence.
What do you mean so-called? It's not so-called. It's called.
Well, it's called ornate confidence, but you got it put into your house.
Because, right, I had someone advocating for me.
Early, it could be broken or it could be flourished.
100%. And here's the thing, the fact that these people found you and at the right time, I'm going to unicorn it, but there's always reasons for things. I believe that so much. Why? Because, the other thing is that coach, who is a Hall of Fame coach, also said to you, holy shit, you're a really good coach. Would you have known, but you've been in situations also where it's not the right organization, it's not the right families, it's not the right certain things for you. And so it's like youth sports,
it's youth business now.
Yeah.
It's so funny, I had how many parents? You've never been on the ice, but you're going to tell me what needs to be done.
I still
We're
can't
never
believe
fat,
that.
Mom.
Yeah, I know. And I would, every time you would come home and say it, I'd be like, wait, but do they understand? Now, listen, I know not every player is a good coach. I get that. We've talked about that. I would not be a good coach in certain aspects. That's not the way I saw the field. You are a really good coach. Like there's is not that case. But the fact when you would come home and I'd be like, wait, did these people even play hockey? And you're like, no, they didn't. And I'm like, and they have the balls to sit there. Wow, that's special. That's fucking special. That's crazy. But so the fact that you're able though to really be around this kid, and I want to go back to what we were just saying. So like, what are some things that if a coach or a parent or a player is listening to this, what are some of the things that you would suggest to them as they're kind of continuing their career or in a shitty situation?
Well, and you said you have to understand what you need.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get your information the best? Now I can look back, right? 48 years old. Now it makes sense to me why I was doing what I was doing back then, because I didn't have any understanding. So you have to understand that. So, and those words, Montgomery said, I may not seem like I'm paying attention. I'm just processing. Like those are great. Those are really great words.
Yep.
Right. Because most people don't use the word processing. Right.
Mm-mm. Right.
What are you doing? You look like you're lost. You're not paying attention. Right. Very rarely does that word processing, so, he used great words, understand how you need the information.
Yeah.
And that's no different in school or in sports.
Yeah.
How do you absorb it? Is it a presentation? Is it visual? Is it audio? Is it both? Do you need to, for an example, hockey, do you need to hear him say it? Do you need to see him draw it? And then do you need to see him do it? Like, these are all things that you need to ask for, but you can ask for things that you don't understand. I would say, thank God, playing hockey. Like, if I weren't able to see the videos, we had VHS, but we always watch video or on the whiteboard. I need to do this and this. No, I need to see it. Show me what you need me to do. Don't tell me what you need me to do. Show me what you need me to do.
Yeah. How many times, because this also just brought me back to a thought I don't know if you still do it. I don't as much, but there's times where I will, where someone will say something and you say what? And then they say it and you answer and they're like, well, why did you say what? I'm like, sorry. It's like I used to do that so much as a kid. And even like when the kids were little, if Dan and I were like, if there was chaos and he was saying something, I'd be like, what? And then I would answer. And he was like, what? Why'd you say what? You heard me. And I'm like, sorry. I was processing it. Yeah. And so we use that because I'm a slow processor in some things. But that's ADD and dyslexia, right? That is one of the things that happens. And so the sooner that we can understand that, and the sooner as a kid can understand that it's just taking them a second because the words are going in. Some people can just go off and do that, but the words are going in and you're like, your brain's trying to figure out what's my next step, right? It's so important.
And that's, you see interviews all the time, it's trying to process, so we're trying to find the right words. And it's okay. Hey, I'm just trying to process what you said. All right, perfect. Now, if somebody gets mad at you for that, all right, you know where you stand in that
totally
job, that relationship, that school, that team. It's okay to say those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to understand that. And whoever says that, if they come back and say, what's wrong with you, or they make fun of you, or they say something rude, all right, then you probably know that's a place you don't need to be.
Mm-hmm. And processing, it comes in all different, how people processes their emotions. Some people need to sit and think, right? I mean, that's, again, we do talk about this. A lot of the stuff we talk about then also can go into relationships,
Yeah.
because you could be having a discussion with your partner and your partner needs to sit and think on it, where you're someone that's like, no, I need to get it. I need to come to, but I'm the type of person
Elizabeth wants any big decision, let me sleep on it.
Yeah.
No,
No, I now, right. Exactly. And Dan is like a processor. We have a conversation, whether it's a disagreement, and he has to process it. Then we talk about it. I need to second it's in my head and it's bothering me, it's out my mouth, and then I'm okay. I've already processed it. I'm like, okay, we good? And he's like,
no, I need to process it.
I need to take a day. And I'm like, I'm already fucking done with it, right?
Elizabeth's like, at work, any big decisions, they know, I'm not going to make it. I got to sleep on it.
Yeah. But that's great that she knows that, right? But this is also where, like, relationships, this is where it's so important. Coaches, teachers, like, as humans, the more self-aware we are of how we process and how we process emotions, language, all of it, the better off in life we're going to be, because the more we can advocate for ourselves. So that is why.
And that's why you love yourself, to be able to be okay with that.
Look how we just turned that all around.
And that's why self-esteem is number one thing for the foundation, right? Because if you don't love yourself, you can't be okay with, hey, I need a day, or I need to sleep on it, or, give me a second, I'm processing this. We won't say that.
Right. It's very important. And it seems like it's a small thing, but it seems like it's a small thing when you just say it in a phrase, but it's so complex. And the sooner that complexity can be targeted, and the sooner we understand ourselves, because we love ourselves and move forward, the more whole of a human we're going to be, and be able to advocate for ourselves.
Right. And that's a hard word to say. I need time to process it, and then whatever that ends up meaning for that, for that person, that's, it means you're growing. It means that you understand yourself, and a lot of people never ever get there. So, that's, that's a big step to be able to advocate, for what you need.
Yep. And I'm going to take it one step further, and then we're going to end this. But it's funny because, as much as like directions on a sports field, like, I would take time to process that, but there's things that are so innate and I'm good at that, and I understand that I don't need the processing, right? So, like, if we think about this, if we actually really wanted to get into the brain, like, so, okay, this is the drill I need you to do. They say it, I don't understand it. Or in science, right? This is how this works. It takes me a second to process because I don't understand it. So I need my brain to sit there to understand it, for me to then move forward and then either do it or write it or say it, or, kind of act it out. But when it comes to conversations or emotions, or something with communications, I can be like, no, I understand how I feel. I can process this right away and go. Where someone else is like, well, wait, I need time to do that, but they don't need time on the other end.
That's what you're good at.
Right.
No, so yeah, when you're good at something, you're confident in something, it's easy.
Right.
When it's, something new, right? It's not confidence, it's new, it's different, it takes time. That's why I always talk about, when I'm coaching hockey, if it feels right, it's wrong. Like, what? Because I'm trying to get you to do something different, so it's got to feel uncomfortable. And you can't do something at 100% uncomfortable, because you're automatically going to go back to what feels right.
Yep.
So we got to feel uncomfortable at 10% to be able to get it to feel comfortable. It's when you're good at something, yeah, you're quick at it. But when you're not, that's when it's hard for us to say, just like telling somebody no. That's hard, because we're just trying to fit in and trying to do this. Yeah.
No, it's so true. And it is all of these, it's again, the self-awareness and loving ourselves and the self-confidence. Everything we talk about comes back to that. Mm-hmm. And that's what's the number one thing for the Sopal Foundation.
Mm-hmm. You don't have that, you plant a flower, if you don't water it.
Well, look, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for joining another episode of Word Blindness Dyslexia Exposed. You know what to do. I say it every fucking time. Like, rate, review, and share. And we will see you for another episode next week.